give us an update. And this is a plea. Obviously, our role here, we are here for the civil case to administer civil accountability. But we have a duty to this family also to ensure all facets of accountability are followed through completely. And that's why we are so emphatic that criminal justice must be administered and we must have answers. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Jason Freeman.
Thank you. Romanucci and Blandon filed a civil lawsuit on behalf of Abnerd's family in May of 2024. The complaint provided details of this tragedy. But in sum, building staff at the Legacy and Millennium Park building at 60 East Monroe Street in Chicago freely allowed an armed resident to patrol the hallways of the luxury condo building and act as a vigilante on the night of September 14, 2023, when that resident sought out Abnerd Joseph. Instead of waiting for law enforcement to arrive and utilize their training in de-escalation and crisis intervention, there was an active attempt to seek out Abnerd for this confrontation. The vigilante resident shot at Abnerd 7 times, striking him 6 times and killing him. Abnerd's death at 32 was truly senseless and truly preventable. Building staff responsible for responding to resident emergencies failed in their duty to protect residents and involve authorities when needed. Their negligent decisions that violated policies of simple common sense could have prevented Abnerd from getting, or did prevent, rather, Abnerd from getting the appropriate help and care that he deserved and needed. Abnerd was an enthusiastic high school assistant principal. He was known for his tireless energy and commitment to mentoring high school students around the country, including at Intrinsic High School in Chicago, where he was working at the time that he was killed. Family members say that Abnerd had ADHD. He'd recently received a new prescription medicine, and this could have created anxiety before he was shot and killed. Witnesses say Abnerd was in emotional distress. He was in the hallways of the building, knocking on doors, asking for help, saying that he was concerned for his safety. It's during that time that building staff was made aware of Abnerd's distress. And instead of allowing law enforcement to help Abnerd, the staff members accompanied the defendant gunman to track Abnerd and handle the situation with tragic consequences. The lawsuit was filed on May 14th, 2024 in the Circuit Court of Cook County Law Division. Antonio Romanucci and I represent the plaintiff. We recently amended the complaint to add a defendant, the building's homeowner association. The plaintiff is Delbert J. Charles, as independent administrator of the estate of Abnerd Joseph. The defendants are Sudler and Company, doing business as Sudler Property Management, the Legacy of Millennium Park Condominium Association, and Garrett Mark Smith. Abnerd Joseph was a good man, a very good man who devoted his life to inspiring kids and being a family member and a friend. The loss here remains immense, and the frustration is growing that after 11 months of waiting, the answers on criminal charges remain sparse. We call on Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox to do the right thing before she leaves office and ensure that criminal charges are filed in this case. I'd now like to ask Abnerd's family, starting with his sister Gianna, to share their thoughts.
Jason, can you give us your name once again, please?
Jason Friedel, F-R-I-E-D-L.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Gianna Kelly, formerly Joseph, Jeanna Kelley. So it's been 347 days. 347 days ago, my brother Abner was shot and killed. As a family, one word has taken over our thoughts for all that time. Why? When the police arrived, my brother's shooter admitted what he had done. When the police arrived, my brother's shooter had his gun still stuck into his pants pocket. Why was he shot has become, why are there still no charges? Why has the man who admitted to shooting my brother still not been charged in 347 days? My brother Abner dedicated his life to nurturing the next generation to help them to become leaders. He did this with compassion and selflessness. He was kind to a degree that I've never seen. His students saw it, and they knew that they had an ally in Mr. Joseph. Several of his friends came up to me and said that he helped them battle depression. Several of his students came up to us and said that had it not been for Mr. Joseph, they would have acted on their suicidal thoughts. My brother even used his own money to help his students with whatever it is that they needed. So why then my brother, in his most vulnerable time, he needed help and he was denied that help that he so effortlessly gave to everybody else? Why has the person who shot someone who cared for so many people not been charged? Why has the shooter not been charged in 347 days? And why does it seem like my brother's life is being forgotten or held to a lesser standard than others? Why can't we get answers? Why can't we get justice? Why can't Abner get justice? I'm tired of why. Our mother is tired of why. My brothers and sisters are tired of why. So we ask now, we ask you why. You have the ability to give a voice to the voiceless, to give a voice to my brother Abner, who worked so hard to give a voice to his students. The media has the power to ask why. The people that the media reaches have the power to ask why. We have asked the state's attorney's office and asked why. Now that we ask everyone listening to call the state's attorney and ask why. Why have there been no charges brought 347 days after my brother Abnerd Joseph was shot and killed in his boxer shorts, bathrobe, and socks? Why has the man who admitted to shooting my brother, Abnerd Joseph, not been charged? Abner deserves better. All we have left is our memories and Abner's legacy. Why can't we get justice for him? Thank you.
My name is Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, last name Enemy, E-I-E-N -A-I-M-E. And I am the eldest of my mom's 7 kids. Losing my brother like this has been the hardest thing I ever had to face. As a big brother, I always felt a deep responsibility for him and my other siblings, especially since our father wasn't around in our lives. So I wasn't just his big brother, I was also his father figure. The weight of his loss is something I carry with me every day, and the pain that I know will truly never go away, no matter how hard I try. My brother Abner loss has changed my life in so many ways. I see his face and hear his voice all the time. When I look into my son's eyes, I feel an even deeper love to protect him and nourish him. My brother's life was cut short for no reason, and we all owe it to him to continue to seek justice and make sure his legacy and memory is honored. Our family has been more than patient. As of today, it's been 346 days and no charges have been filed. Our family urges everyone to contact the Cook County State Attorney and please demand charges be filed. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rain Belcher, R-A-Y-N-E, Belcher, B-E-L-C-H-E-R. One of Abner's greatest gifts is the ability to de-escalate any situation. He was known for doing this with children and adults. Abner could come in and show empathy for any situation. He just had a way of calming people down and getting them to look at things differently. Abner was full of empathy and love. He could take a situation from 10 to 0 in minutes. It was a gift from God. On September the 14th, at the millennium, Abner needed someone with just a little empathy. Unfortunately, that night, he was surrounded by the complete opposite. Abner experienced a senseless act of violence. Abner was brutally shot at his home unarmed. The amount of shock and pain that has been caused is unreal. No healing has taken place. Instead, we're holding our breath, waiting for people to be charged. We're losing patience and starting to feel unheard. This isn't right, and we're demanding justice for Abner. To know Abner is to know love and greatness. Abner was perfect, perfectly balanced, beautiful inside and out. He was on a mission to change the world, one person at a time. People talk about change, but Abner was actually doing it. Everyone has a story about how Abner was there for them. Abner had a way of making everyone feel special. It's hard to explain the love and light that Abner brought into a room. It's something you had to experience. On September the 14th, Abner was murdered in his home. It was a senseless act of violence. Abner was unarmed. He was gunned down as if his life had no purpose. It's been 347 days and no one has been charged. Where's the justice for Abner?
Hello, I'm Abner's bigger brother, older brother. My name is Joshua Watts. I'm devastated by the loss of my brother Abner, and so is our family. He meant so much to us. He was very kind to us and his friends, even a stranger. Anyone he came in contact with. When I found life difficult from trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to learn stock trading, just trying to get life going, I called Nerd and he put me in with the people I needed to meet for sending me some stock courses and things like that. My lady that I'm with right now, we have 4 kids. Nerd randomly calls one day, hey, does Emmy need a job? Right on time, like he always does, with good news. He was such a giving person, such a giving man of the community, really striving to make a difference, especially to the lives of the youth and to his family. He was such a light to the world and to our family. The emptiness left by my brother's death is unexplainable. It's been almost a year now since we lost him, and still no charges have been brought forth. 347 days. We're just asking why. Abner wasn't a threat. How much of a threat can a man be wearing a bathrobe and his underwear and socks? That's what Abner was in when he got shot. We just please ask that we get help for Abner and get justice for him. Thank you.
At this time, we'll open it up for a few questions.
Yeah, if anybody
Mr.
has
Roman,
any
the
questions.
young lady, what's her name?
This is Rain Belcher.
R-A-I-N. I'm sorry.
R-A-Y-N.
How unusual are cases like this that can carry on for more than a year, and it seems like the evidence is very simple? Have you come across this kind of thing before?
I think this is unusual. We're going on a very lengthy period of time. And I think the emphasis that I made was, we know who the shooter was. We know who the alleged perp is. So there's only a couple of other witnesses that were in the building that we can say actually saw it. One of them is the security guard that basically paved the way for the shooter to find Abnerd and shoot him. So I think now that is why we are asking for help here, because this is unusual. It's a long period of time. I mean, the answer is he either used unjustified and unnecessary force or he didn't. There's no in between. We want to know, this family deserves some sort of closure. They deserve answers, and we know what we think is the right call, but if it's not there, then we need to move on and find justice elsewhere. But we want criminal justice. There's no doubt that we feel that what we know, how Abnerd was dressed that night and being unarmed, that in order to use deadly force, you must feel the imminent threat of bodily harm or death. It's pretty simple. So the question is, how unusual? Given the circumstances, we feel that this is unusual, and that's why we're demanding answers.
Why was the HOA added to the complaint?
Well, because we're looking at all, on the civil part, obviously we are looking at all possible wrongdoers here. And it's the security guard, it's the security company, and certainly we don't know what rules and bylaws the HOA had in directing the security to do what they had to do. So if the board had any responsibility, any control over the security, then they belong on that complaint and they are responsible and they are a cause for Abnerd's death.
Do we know who recruited this other resident to be part of the search for Abnerd and essentially deputize him to do what he did? And second, were police called prior to the shooting or after the shooting?
So I'm going to turn that one over to Jason. I think he has a little bit more knowledge on that.
Let me work backwards then through your question. Yes, the police had been notified prior to the shooting. That's one of the truly egregious facts here. The police had been contacted, and had it been left to the police, we would very likely be looking at a very different outcome. And I'm sorry, was your the first part of your question?
Who recruited this other resident?
So this was a matter of staffing, essentially. What we have learned from witnesses in the building is that they just didn't have the right number of people and the properly trained people. So they took somebody from maintenance to accompany the shooter and again actively seek out Abnerd over multiple stories of the building. And you use the phrase deputized. You're absolutely right. It's a phrase that I've used myself when discussing this, because the shooter was effectively acting with and in concert with the security or building staff that accompanied him for this act.
Did he present himself as, hey, I've got a gun, let me go help you guys? That's what's kind of...
So unfortunately, he's not ready to talk to me yet. So in terms of what was communicated, we're not going to speculate on that. However, based on what is in the police report, there was a gun tucked into his pocket. It's pretty self-evident.
How do we know that he had changed medicine before this happened?
Simply put, there was a prescription that had been filled.
Have you heard anything from the Cook County State's Attorney's Office about the status of the investigation, or when was the last time you've heard from them, if you have?
I've done quite a bit to maintain regular contact. As of just a matter of weeks ago, the answer was still the same. We are investigating. We are looking into it.
And that's the answer you've gotten over this past year?
Paraphrasing it, but yes, that's the answer we keep getting.
Can you say anything else about Abnerd's history of mental health issues? I don't know if he's spoken with family members about his struggle with that, or is that more of a recent thing? I'm just curious about the background there.
There's been nothing in the record that we've seen to indicate that this was one of repeated instances. That's why we were talking about the medication. This was completely out of character, but that character was, again, somebody who was begging for help. And instead, he was met with bullets.
Do you have information on why he was on a different floor than his own residence?
Unfortunately, I think that was a product of his health at the moment. He was looking for help. Very vocally, he had expressed that he was looking for help.
Is the criminal case, are you waiting for the criminal case to wrap up before you proceed with the civil case or the civil case?
Well, we've already filed the civil case, but the realities are, while the criminal case is pending, at some point the court is probably going to limit how much we can do. So we are not going to slow anything on our own. We are not going to step back in any way, shape, or form on our own, but the law will be applied across the board, and that will likely lead to delays in the prosecution of our case.
All right, thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.